Hello and welcome to the Grapeseed Official Podcast. Today is the first Teacher Says episode of 2023. The usual crew is back to answer a couple more questions about how they teach and run their Grapeseed programs effectively. Their ideas may not work for you, but at the very least they should help give you some ideas on what to do or just good things to think about in general. Question 1. Give us a more advanced classroom management tip. A technique beyond praising students or set clear rules and expectations?
This is another really difficult question. My philosophy for classroom management is it's not just one thing you do, but a collection of many little things that all come together to create this beautiful structure. So picking out a single tip is really difficult. But the tip I think I want to go with is the use of your expressions. I think I've mentioned this on the podcast before, but I am normally not a very animated guy. But this is kind of a no-go when it's in the classroom, especially for really young students. Students aren't going to understand English fully, so they're going to be looking for other context clues to understand your meaning. And a lot of that is going to be your expression. When you are happy and praising a student, really show that. But at the same time, when you need to give a warning, you should express the appropriate emotions. I've seen teachers, when they tell a student to sit nicely or don't speak Japanese, they have a big smile on their face. And that can really convey the wrong feeling to the student when we want them to stop a certain action. If there is a behavior that you don't like, if there's behavior that I don't like, I will immediately switch to a serious face. I'll get quiet, give the student a little dead eye, and I'll explain why I'm not happy. But there's a good chance they're not going to understand my words. So I want to make sure I'm conveying my emotions in a different way. And then once it's over, once they fix the behavior, switching back to expressing that happiness, letting them know, again, everything's great now. Everything's back to normal. And of course, there's a balance to this. You don't want to explode on students or anything. The big thing is just don't show conflicting emotions, like giving a big smiling approval when telling a student not to hit their friends. So to sum it up, it's kind of like what they say about body language or nonverbal communication is 70 or 80% of communication. This is going to be even more so for your students that really don't understand your verbal communication at all. So just be mindful of all those other forms of communication and make sure they're all sending the same message.
One thing that really works for me with the younger children is to act surprised and to exaggerate my reactions. If you do this with older children, they can perceive it as sarcasm. Like if someone says, if you say, "Where did you go yesterday?" And they say, "Oh, I went to school," and you say, "Whoa, you went to school," then that's obviously they're going to think you're being sarcastic. But if a 4 or 5-year-old, you can act surprised about anything they say, and they'll love it. And this works for both for individual conversations and for group things. When a class responds to your question and you act really surprised, it really helps to lift the energy level up. Obviously, you can't do that all the time because you'll fall apart and run out of energy. But it really helps to keep kids focused and to keep the balance of the energy level in the classroom.
This is an interesting question because I kind of think it's a trick question because honestly, and I'm a guy who really, really, really cares about classroom management. I'm always stressing it to basically everyone. I always tell everyone, anyone can remember the Grapeseed songs and stories. Anyone can learn all the objectives. But if you can't manage your class, then everything else is worthless. So honestly, I'm very much a basics guy. And that will be whether it's from when you go get the kids, you start speaking English, you have them make a line. From the time you get to your class, you have them make a line. I'm very much an orderly guy. So everything, having the kids know their routines, all these different things. Now, that may sound advanced to some people, but it's not. Just the basics are what are going to get you through everything. And if you cover all those things, I imagine you're not going to need more advanced techniques. Now, I'm going to say one thing, and it's not even related to classroom management, but it is related to your upper level units. And that is sometimes kids will encounter words that they do not know, or they want to communicate something to you that they just do not have the vocabulary for at all. No matter how much they try to explain it to you, or you try to figure it out, it's not happening. All right. And so in those situations, I often do one of two things. I go, I have a dictionary, find the word in the dictionary, or I'll take out my phone and I say, type the word into the dictionary in Japanese. Now, you can't say it. You're not allowed to say it, but type it in. And then let's look at the response. And then that way I can help you out with it. Because it can be quite frustrating for a kid. They want to say something so badly, but they can't because they don't know that yet. And it's easy to be like, well, you don't know it, so just wait till you learn it. But that would be, I think, not a very good thing to do. So instead, and I know Grape Seed and very much want an English-only environment. I do as well, but they're not speaking Japanese. And they're not hearing Japanese. They're just inputting it. And then you go, oh, I know that. Then they know it. And then it all works out in the end. And I think for me, that is an advanced learning technique. And I've told this to other people. Some people frown upon it, especially hardcore, like English only, English only, English only. And I agree with all that, except that sometimes you need to let them get their point across. So sometimes you need to resort to these kind of techniques.
Goodbye, my friends, goodbye. I'm sad to say goodbye. It was a good day, but now I will say goodbye, my friends, goodbye. Goodbye, everyone.